what a marvellous day of Euros action we had yesterday. We sadly gave a very teary goodbye to the 2 p.m. kickoffs. They have served us very well.
And they're not going to be back for a while. It's only tournament football that gives you this.
Well,
Oh, sorry, no, there's the World Club Championship next year, isn't
yeah,
it?
Exactly.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, great stuff.
Don't worry about it.
I was trying to think what were the kickoff times in the North America World Cup, but it's going to be messy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's going to be very messy.
Damn it.
Oh, dear. Speaking of messy things, how about this, everybody? A little treat for you. Joining us from his dream day featuring Turkey against Portugal in Dortmund, it's Andy Brassel down the line.
Hello, you guys. How are you?
Oh!
It does look like you're in a holding cell, mate. You didn't get on the pitch in the end, did you?
It was Andy with the wig on.
Yeah, I was the only one that wasn't. So I'm having had the day of my life yesterday. Yeah. I'm prolonging the fun with a bit of baklava for breakfast.
Now you say baklava. Is it not baklava, Andy?
That's not what the lady behind the counter said. So yeah, I'm actually coming to you directly from the German Football Museum, which very conveniently is dead opposite Dortmund Station. So the guy who looks after the museum here, he said to me that people say the German Football Museum is a rare highlight in a not that exciting city until they realise that it's dead opposite the station. And it's like, wow.
Yeah,
it's the best museum there is.
Yeah, will we see the kind of cultural vandalism to Dortmund that happened to Preston, and they're going to move the football museum to a bigger and more prominent city, as what happened with it going to Manchester in this country?
Hopefully not. I mean, it has got an indoor football pitch here, so presumably people are not going to stop playing throughout this tournament. It's so busy because everyone's here for the games at the moment, and it's great. Although they do have a slightly different alignment of goal lines to what you might have in an English equivalent.
Are you on a team yet, Andy? You got yourself a team?
No, I've brought my boots, and as soon as I'm off to you guys, before I get off to Frankfurt for the Germany game later, I might have my boots in the boot.
Lovely. Well, Andy, you were of course there to witness Portugal beat Turkey 3-0. You gave us a voice note the other day speaking about your time France versus Netherlands, with the Dutch fans in particular, who were very colourful, as they always are. Well, one specific colour, but still, it pops. It pops. They were in good spirits, good voice. The Turkey fans, we know, there's a lot of them in Germany, of course, or the Czechia fans, should I say, Andy? How was the atmosphere? What were your what senses were going?
Yeah,
tingling?
It was pretty fantastic. It recalled when I went to Munich for Bayern Galatasaray last November, because you knew there were a lot of Turkish fans there, and you knew there were a lot of Turkish fans in the stadium. And then it was the bit, I think, where Manuel Neuer came out to warm up, and there's just this cacophony of boos, and Neuer's looking around, going, "What the hell is going on here?" Basically, and it was similar. Obviously, there was a special welcome reserved for Cristiano Ronaldo when the teams were read out. Like, it was absolutely deafening, the catcalls when his name was read out. But of course, like, Portugal managed to dampen that pretty quickly, because
Turkey did it themselves a little bit as well, didn't they?
They did, and it's funny, Jim, because
that belongs in the football museum.
Rafael Leao said in the day before the game when he was interviewed, he tried to put it as politely as possible because he's quite an eloquent man, and he said, "Well, yeah, I think it might be a little bit different because the Turkey, they're a little bit more open." And I was like, "Yeah, that is one way of putting it."
Yeah.
And like, whereas the Czechs got everyone behind the ball, and I think Portugal did really well to stick with it, not panic when they went a goal down, and get there in the end. There was always the sense that Turkey weren't going to be quite good enough off the ball to trouble Portugal. And like, as Portugal got the first goal, that's exactly how it proved, really.
Yeah, it did. I mean, Jim, everyone worth their salt has been talking about Portugal pre-tournament, even after that first game. They showed it here, didn't they?
They really did, and also they didn't really have to exert themselves as much as I think they were ready to, almost, because that second goal is an absolute sickener, isn't it? Obviously, the first one's really, really well worked. Portugal are well on top, are clearly going to win the game comfortably anyway. And I wonder if perhaps that was in Turkish heads, or maybe it's just one of those things that you can't that you can't account for. Sometimes a mad thing happens.
Yeah.
The third goal comes from sloppiness as well, doesn't it? And you're thinking like, there was a point in the first half in particular where I'm thinking Turkey might have a goal in them here. If they can equalise, this might be interesting.
One man who would have disagreed with you was Pepe.
Oh my goodness. Just imperious again.
Yeah.
He is at it again.
But honestly, like, so sorry, everybody, to bring in England, but just bear with me for a second. We talk about lack of
You're
energy,
not sorry.
Lack of energy, tiredness, fitness. Well, the players, Harry Kane's 30 now. Or is that, show him a video of Pepe.
Yeah.
There you go. Not that hard.
Did you see there was a sequence, and I think it would have been contained within a minute, of 3 clearing headers from Turkey crosses.
Yeah.
All of them from Pepe, all drawing a cheer louder than the previous one.
Yeah.
And then when he got subbed off,
Yeah.
he got standing ovation from the whole ground.
It is incredible.
It's also the case that we're seeing a lot in commentary that people are going, if you read the game, you don't need to be able to run fast. It's like, but he is running fast. he's still doing that as well.
I love that. You read the game, you're looking at a player belting at you. What you're reading is this bloke approaching me is really, really fast. But don't worry, I've read him. Therefore, I don't have to use the burners anymore.
I mean, I think there might be a little bit of job interview in it, fellas, because, of course, he's already loved in Turkey because of the time he had with Besiktas when he was really good. And he's leaving Porto because he is part of the great Andrei Villas-Boas clear-out as well. And so I think, like, a little reminder of, hey, you love me, I love you, you've got money, I like money, I'm still good. I think there might be a little bit of that to it. But there was a bit in the first half where he made a tackle, I think it was on Barış, and normally you'd think, he's staying on the ground looking for a foul. He's not. It just really hurt. I think that's all there is to it.
Yeah, I mean, incredible display from Pepe. But it was all about Portugal in attack, really. And nice for Bernardo Silva to score his first Euros goal, Vish.
I know, yeah, it sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? But I suppose
What's he been doing all this time?
I know, what a waste, man. They looked so much more balanced, didn't they, with Paulinho in there?
Now you're talking. Now you're talking.
But I suppose that's the other aspect of Pepe's performance. Like, he did that in a back two, essentially, with 2 centre backs, as opposed to 3 because of the way Portugal shifted. But then that involves bringing Paulinho in, and everyone looks a bit more comfortable. Vitinha could do what he does for PSG.
Yeah.
Bruno could do what he does for Manchester United.
Did you see this, Andy? Because obviously in the vantage point you have in the stadium, it's where journalists sit, it's a pretty good one.
He spent half the game on the pitch.
That's
didn't he?
No selfie, though. No selfie.
Impressive array of outfits and wigs. But in the first game, a few people mentioned that despite Portugal looking fairly impressive, obviously they won the game, I personally thought that maybe Martinez has slightly overcooked the fluidity and the tactics. We know he likes a lot of that. Maybe it was to the point of it was maybe perhaps too much and slightly confusing. Perhaps not, but that's maybe what very much my English take on it. But in this game, as I say, you've got Cristiano Ronaldo up top, but obviously Pepe at the back, but having that extra person in that spine in Paulinho, who where he's going to be. There's these sort of anchors, if you see what I mean. Do you think that did make a difference to Portugal?
It made a massive difference, Marcus. And you guys are really going to miss him when he's time to Bayern. But
they've got to stump up the cash, Andy.
Yeah, they're spending it all on Elise, so you never know.
Do you know, Jim, that PSR is going to go away solely because of Bayern, because they're just shopping in the Premier League now. So I think that could be something to look forward to for next season. I think Paulinho coming in and returning Cancelo to right back really made a difference. Yeah. In that central area, it didn't really get talked about much in the first game because eventually Portugal got where they wanted to go. And like I said, they stuck with it really well against Czechia. But where Cancelo played in the first game, it was almost a little bit like the failed Trent Alexander-Arnold experiment, really.
Yeah.
But the sense was that Portugal stuck with it all game rather than taking him off. And, I think because he's not the most gifted defender and he's got that natural ability, he almost falls into that sort of category. You think, maybe we do give him a punt in a more central area. I mean, having said that, the other side of it is when you return Cancelo to that right back spot, and I do wonder when they play teams that are going to give them a more competitive game, do they bring in Diego Dalot because he's a less talented footballer but a much more reliable and accomplished defender? Because Keramat Tokolu had Cancelo on toast a couple of times yesterday, and that might have been costly in a game deeper in the tournament. But Palhinha makes a massive difference. They can't drop him for the rest of the tournament. And as Vish says, he let Vitinha have his best game of the tournament so far. I know we're only just into it, but Vitinha was really influential from the get-go. Bruno got off the leash a little bit more, so he adds a lot. Yeah,
I think Portugal have done what is pretty ideal for some. The first game can always be a bit cagey. You're feeling your way into it. The second game in the group, especially if you're the fancied team, you can flex a little bit. Not too much because it's still early days.
Generally how it goes, yeah. You forget that sometimes.
Well, you very much can. But it's an ideal start for them. It really is. We have to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, the assist machine.
Well, do you know what? So when he goes through, obviously, and squares to Bruno Fernandes,
which was the only correct decision to make, we should put that out there.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I think
you weren't surprised.
It's a guaranteed
Well,
goal.
this is it, isn't it? Well, I think it's 70-30 a goal if he decides to shoot because of what a good finisher he is. But you're right, it's 100% a goal if he makes that decision. It's the right call, but we know how he feels about his numbers. We know how he feels about scoring at tournaments.
But so Jim, and then you read that he's become the top assist maker in the history of the Euros. You go, that's why he did it.
I gave him the benefit of the doubt yesterday because I was like, I actually think he's been playing quite well for them.
He has.
All the worries that there were before the tournament that he'd make them a bit more static or that he wouldn't give them quite the same movement up top. It's actually gone the other way. He allows everyone else to do all their things.
It's funny, isn't it? Because that seems less the case than it was 18 months ago in the World Cup.
Yeah,
it seems to work much better.
But I think and
but I suppose a different coach, different system as well.
Yeah, I mean, Andy, obviously you've dealt in the Portuguese camps before in training. That time Ronaldo threw your microphone into the river, all that kind of stuff. To me, I mean, Luke was saying in the last game when Portugal played Czech Republic, he felt that Ronaldo, people weren't really celebrating with him, and he felt he cut a lonely figure. I actually sort of slightly disagreed with that. But what I find interesting is with what the chaps were just saying there, with Ronaldo in the World Cup, he still felt it was all about him and all that kind of stuff. He has to have an ounce of self-awareness, even if it is just an ounce. He's playing his football in Saudi Arabia. He's not the player he was because age catches up with every single human being.
Apart from Pepe.
Apart from Pepe, good point.
You can't have two in the same team.
You certainly can't. To me, that looks like when he goes through, because Roberto Martinez waxed lyrical about it, surely Ronaldo has to think he lost his place to Gonzalo Ramos at the World Cup, and obviously Ramos scored a hatful, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, we don't remember. He's aware of that. He must think, I have to be perfect here. I have to really, really, for the first time in goodness knows how long, I have to actually prove that I'm of value to this team.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's right because, funnily enough, the thing that I've said it to you guys before, and I've said it on OTC, the thing that all Portuguese players used to say as a mantra in major championship press conferences, that they just heard the name Cristiano Ronaldo and they went, he's the best in the world. Whereas now, the mantra from Roberto Martinez is he's earned his place in the team.
Yeah.
So it's almost a sort of passive-aggressive kind of reminder, really, isn't it? To say you're in the team on merit and you will continue in the team on merit. And it's a very Martinez kid gloves way of doing it. But I think you're right from that perspective. But I still think, I mean, going back to what Jim was saying, at the last World Cup, of course, he was in dispute with United, hadn't played for a bit. He looked like what he was, out of nick, really. Yeah. And as we've seen with Ronaldo over the last decade, I mean, I think he is self-aware. He's been aware that Portugal need to carry him in a way that he didn't need in his 20s and early 30s. He's been aware of that for a while. And a lot of what they do, not just at this Euros, but at previous major championships in the recent past, is to mitigate what he is nowadays. But what he is as well is aura. I mean, the funny thing is, me and my producer who I was with yesterday, we both missed the Samet own goal because
so did Ronaldo.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
So did the TV coverage.
And the keeper.
You're in good company, Andy.
I'm as responsible as anyone else. Samet, would you like one of my box of baklava?
There you go.
But I think that the thing was, we were both drawn to the same thing, which was Ronaldo, which presumably is exactly what happened to Turkey, because basically Cancelo had the ball. Ronaldo asked for the pass. He said where he wanted it played. Then he didn't make the run and had a massive strop when the ball went where he asked for but didn't run to.
Yeah.
And so we both had our eyes on Ronaldo and we just saw the ball trickling towards the net and them trying to clear it off the line. And so I think that shows what sort of magnetism he has. And, every single, I guess like a LeBron James, every single action he has, however minor. And you were talking about that perception, Luke's perception of how he looked a bit lonely and sort of isolated and all that sort of stuff. That perception that he maybe wasn't that self-aware at the past World Cup. I think it's all perception because every little micro action by Ronaldo is just huge for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have to asked that steward to try and take out Gonzalo Ramos after the game, so he made sure that he kept his place. But there we are.
It's quite a long fall for Ramos, that, isn't it?
Oh, dear.
For a moment, when that clip got sent out, I thought maybe the steward thought Ramos was asking for Ronaldo's autograph, which would have been so much worse.
Yeah, 5 supporters got on the pitch, didn't they? Which is too many. I think we can all agree. It is quite a serious concern that it's possible.
It is. I mean, Roberto Martinez said, we're lucky that they had good intentions.
Yeah,
because they were wanting selfies with Ronaldo, as far as we could tell. Obviously, the cameras pan away straight away, which is the right thing to do. But it is a worry well, firstly, that sports are doing that, but getting so close to the footballers. So they're going to have to tighten that up. In particular when Portugal play, because clearly that's the main man there. That's where it's happening.
One of them was a Turkey fan, which I think, while your team are getting beaten by Portugal, I mean, it's never appropriate to pitch invade and try and get a selfie, but I think that's about as inappropriate as it's possible for it to be.
Yeah, it really is.
But people do that, don't they? I mean, they look really sad for the cameras until the moment where the camera's on them, and it's there's me on the Jumbotron.
Yeah. But I think the only time you're going to guarantee you're not on the camera, though.
Yeah, that's right. I think it is quite a serious point that Roberto Martinez makes. I mean, not only is it really irritating that the game keeps stopping, it's a difficult position for Ronaldo, because when that kid went up to him, I thought part of it is, I mean, obviously he's ultra aware of the optics, but part of it you're thinking, don't pose with the kid because it's going to make more kids do it. And it's really unsafe for them. It's really unsafe for him. But he's in a bit of a difficult situation because if he tells the kid to sod off, then, he gets absolutely slated by the whole world, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, tricky one for poor old Ronnie. So, chaps, how are we feeling about Portugal then? I mean, just the same, surely, one of the favourites.
Yeah, they look like serious contenders. They've played two very different types of game, come through both of them kind of without breaking much of a sweat, almost. I don't feel like they've been really challenged yet, and that's because their level is so high. They almost let Turkey beat themselves for them.
Yeah, they've won 2 games playing 2 different systems with different players coming to the fore. I mean, they and they do look like they can give a little more. I think someone like Bernardo Silva, obviously getting that first goal, I think he can take a game by the scruff of its neck, and I don't think I've not seen enough of him for Portugal, but he's done that for Man City, and I can imagine when they're in a hole at some point, either he or Bruno or even Paulinho to a point can dig a bit deeper.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with going back to Ronaldo. He actually gives them that, if they really are struggling against a team trying to break a side down, and they've got the players to unpick pretty much any lock in the world. But if it really comes down to it, you can put a ball in the box. He's one of the finest headers of the ball we've seen. So they even have that dimension.
You've got the Grant Holt aspect.
You do. You've got
he's their wild wet horse.
As Luke said, he's a meat and potatoes frontman nowadays, a head on a stick. Which is probably why I passed to Bruno Fernandes, because those kind of trickier finishes he just can't do.
Yeah. Because he's a big man, so his feet aren't that good.
But the depth is massive as well, isn't it? Obviously, Rafa Leal's going to miss the next game because of his second booking for diving in 2 games. But Pedro Neto comes in and gives a similar amount of pace and trickery on that side. And
we've barely seen João Felix.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, the BBC showed what a second-string Portuguese side looked like, and you think, I mean, that side alone would easily make the knockouts.
Yeah, and they might well feature in the 3rd game because they've won the group now. So they, a lot of players also get a rest. It's essentially perfect for them at this point.
It is for a country, whether one is interested in population sizes or not. Tournaments, again, they do have a very small population, relatively speaking. and the players they produce is frightening, quite frankly. So yes, Portugal are through. They're going to top the group. It's a question of whether Georgia or the Czech Republic or Turkey can join them. I mean, at least one of those sides will. Georgia drew 1-1 with the Czechs. And will now need a victory, you would imagine, in their last game against Portugal, which is a tall order. But they're still alive. But my goodness, it could have been 3 points. It could have so easily been 3 points. It's such a sickening because they're hanging on there. And to be honest, Czech Republic with a better side. As the second half went on, 12 shots they rained down on goal. The keeper, who was absolutely brilliant, by the way, but he saved 11 of them. They were hanging on, and you think, okay, if they get a point, which would be their first point at a major tournament, because it's their first time at a major tournament, that would be a good result. And then, of course, Saba Lobjanica runs through, and when he skies it over the bar, suddenly that precious point totally feels like two dropped.
It's not that far over, but it looks like it's 100 yards over it because it might as well be. He's kind of done the right thing, just gone for the power there.
Yeah.
He's probably got time to take a touch, but in that sort of frenzied moment, I can see how it's happened. But
I thought he was going to miss it.
Yeah, well,
when the ball, and the reason why I thought that was because when the ball is played to him, it was a good pass, but actually when the keeper comes out, he's on that right side. Do you stick it across the goalkeeper with the defender coming in? Do you go around? It's like, ooh, and you can see where he just thought, I'm just going to kind of try and place this at the goal.
Yeah.
And to me, it was just like that classic sort of, I totally understand why that went over the bar.
I didn't think it was a guaranteed goal.
No.
Because even though all the component parts were quite nicely done, the only difference, the biggest difference would have been if he was left-footed.
Yeah.
Because then he would be able to come onto it like that. But I totally agree with you. I actually, in his favour, I thought, you've made a decision there.
Yeah.
And as Jim, you were saying, it's not that far over because he couldn't really dink him because the keeper was too close. He couldn't. If he goes wide, he probably puts it wide.
Yeah, certainly to the keeper's left.
Side.
Yeah.
And if he's going around, I reckon the keeper snuffs it out because of the keeper's momentum.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was.
You've basically just got to drill it through the keeper.
Yeah,
almost,
but the screenshot of it, you threw on goal, the last kick of the game. Was just
and obviously the cameras are all looking for him afterwards, and he's processing it physically as much as emotionally. You can see it the cogs turning in his mind.
You can
it's
also
just painful to watch.
You could also see him thinking, why have I dyed my hair blonde? So easily.
Yeah. Me now.
I know, but it was going for him, Andy, because obviously that whole thing of Georgia picking up their first point at the Euros, okay, they'll look back on that perhaps and think, okay, that's a good result or whatever. But the chance for a victory, and a victory that may well have put them in the next round, it would have put them in a far better position. Now you wouldn't fancy them to get in the next round at all because they've got Portugal next.
No, but I guess there are two things to this. Firstly, the fact that you look at the fact that they took off Mikatadze, they took off Kvaratskhelia, who obviously looked a bit limpy when he went off, but that has been really his season, that he's looked not quite right for a lot of it. I just wondered if there was a little bit of saving themselves for that final game, because that I think they knew they were going to hang on for the point. If you'd have asked them, apart from that chance, would they have taken the point in the second half? They absolutely would have done. And to get a point at a championship, that's the second thing, is massive for them. I mean, I know you can say time.
I agree with you, Andy, totally.
I think even now, because bear in mind, they didn't come through a playoff because they finished appropriately high up in the group. They came through a playoff because of their Nations League results. They finished fourth in their group.
Yeah.
So for them to get to a first major championship is absolutely amazing. And what Jim was saying about Portugal's rotation, I think it's tempting, of course, because they've got a lot of really good players. I don't think they want to be changing more than 5, because I think back to Euro 2008, where they looked great in the first 2 games, rested everyone for the third group game and completely lost momentum. So I wonder if they need to almost put out a sort of Carabao Cup sort of team, a bit of half and half.
I think that's probably right. And you're right to say that about Georgia. You absolutely are. But no doubt on 94 and a half minutes, they wouldn't have settled for a point.
Yeah. No one in the stands is going, you know what, if he misses this, I'll take it.
Yeah. No one's shouting, take it to the corner.
Can I just say about this game, that obviously commentating on football is a very, very difficult job at the best of times. But Georgia in particular are a very, very challenging thing for the commentators, simply because of how complicated and unfamiliar the surnames are. And Robin Cowan, and to a point Danny Murphy as well, who obviously has to do it less but still has to do it, did a really great job on that. And I say that because I essentially just looked at the Georgia squad, read it out loud. By the bench, it was like I was having a stroke. It was like I'd forgotten how to read, I had forgotten how to speak, and that's just with it in front of me and not with them all actually running around using the ball. It's incredible stuff. And my favourite moment of commentary from the whole tournament so far happened in this bit as well, when Robin Cowan mentioned the age of one of the players who was 20, and Danny Murphy just went, I'd love to be 20 again. Proper little existential crisis.
Oh, dear.
For the world to see.
I wish I had more vowels.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, but Georgia, though, as crazy as it is to try and read out their squad names and so on, they have been wonderfully hectic.
Yeah, they have.
This tournament.
Hectic is the word.
Yeah, and they've really lit it up, and it's a great shame for them that they didn't get anything out of the Turkey game. But so enjoyable, so just likeable as well. Just really going hell for leather, and that's what you do. You go down swinging, if indeed they end up going down in the group stages of the tournament. They can never sort of say, we haven't seen the third game, but they can't ever say, oh, we didn't leave it all out on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? We didn't give a great account. They've lit it up. People have enjoyed watching them. Yeah. And you can't say fairer than that, really. I'm talking like Georgia are already out the competition, Andy, but I put it to you, good sir. Who would you fancy going through with Portugal from this group?
I think Turkey will do it, and I think Czechia might be in a bit of trouble, really, because I think it's interesting. We talked about about Georgia maybe managing the minutes of some of their stars. Interesting that neither Arda Güler started the game yesterday. It was absolutely pointless bringing him on at 3-0 down with 20 minutes left, by the way. It was just like the crowd were pressuring them so much to do
goal
it.
Difference, maybe, if he pulled something out the back.
Yeah, I suppose. And the fact that Kenan Yildiz didn't start. I mean, this was really Vincenzo Montella's let's not get belted team. Obviously, that didn't work at all. But I think they were keeping a little bit in the tank for that third game. I think they'll do it.
Interesting. Well, Andy, we have to say goodbye to you now. You're about to get chucked out of where you are.
Already?
Because they don't have squatters' rights in Germany. I don't know if they do.
They have excellent rent control.
Yeah,
so
you don't
need need for it.
Yeah, fair enough, Jim. But pleasure, Andy. We look forward to speaking to you next time. Which is the next game you're off to now? I'm
off to Frankfurt in about an hour to go to Switzerland, Germany, and I'll speak to you about it tomorrow.
Love that. How are the trains? Is it a bit of a scheisse show?
Look, are you really... look, I was on an on-time one yesterday, but you really expecting me to answer that ahead of taking another long one? I'm not answering that. I'm pleading the fifth.
I'm just trying to make myself feel a tiny bit better. But there we are. It's not working. All right, pal. We'll speak to you tomorrow.
Ciao for now.
All right, everybody, coming up in the second half, we've got Belgium beating Romania 2-0. We're looking ahead towards Switzerland, Germany and Scotland, Hungary. And we've got some advice for the England team from Harry Redknapp. See you in a moment.
I'm going Messi in this, right? Because he hates when people leave stuff about and he goes, come on, man, like that. And the fact that I don't moisturise my knees.
Oh.
Hates that.
You've got to moisturise.
Moisturise your knees, you know what I mean?
You just got to moisturise. If it's dry, you just got to put a bit of cream on.
Can I put cocoa butter on a guy for Clydebank, you know what I mean?
Welcome back to the Football Ramble, everybody. John McGinn there. John McGinn. Now, yesterday...
little scabby knees.
Yesterday, we discussed a distant relative of the famous 16th century psychic Nostradamus predicting England will still win the Euros, which I'm sure calmed you down as much as it did us. Now a psychic eagle called Honey has predicted a resounding win for England on Tuesday against Slovenia. Jim Campbell.
Yeah, I mean, is there any end to these psychic animals, and why do we only see them at tournaments? It feels like they could be of greater benefit to society than just predicting football results incorrectly.
It's a good point.
Are we spending money on researching this?
Yeah.
If we're not, we should be.
I
think if any animal comes out as psychic, you kill it. Because it's a waste of our time. It's a waste of theirs. It's the most tedious shit.
Could we not hear them out to see how they get on?
No.
All right.
It's weird because they all... You know why? Because they're all shysters. Because every single fucking one of them says England will win a tournament, don't they? It's always England.
Paul the Octopus didn't.
What did he do? He's dead.
Well, there you go.
Delicious, probably.
Yeah.
I wouldn't eat an eagle. But...
How did Paul the Octopus in 2010 World Cup? I can't remember. It was in Germany, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And I think that Paul the Octopus had predicted Germany would win all the games.
Right.
Because they used to have the 2 boxes with the flags on, and then Paul would pop himself in one. And it was I think it was the semi-final where they were beaten by Spain. Puyol header. And Paul the Octopus went in the Spain box, and the whole crowd went, "Oh no!" And it proved to be right.
Yeah. He is dead now, though, isn't he?
He is dead. Yeah. He couldn't predict that, could he?
Well, I don't know how much cephalopods are aware of their own mortality, but maybe he could.
Might I say,
cephalopods? I don't know.
You've done incredibly well, Jim, here. and for your sake, and much of everybody else's, I'm going to move on. Now, Harry Redknapp was talking about England. And he said he'd take the lads racing to improve the mood in the camp. Not go-kart racing. He said he took his West Ham side to Cheltenham races to take their minds off fighting relegation.
I wonder if shit in the world.
It was Ascot yesterday. Did Southgate fly back for it?
How can we improve morale? Banter.
Wonder if he part-owned a horse at Cheltenham.
I mean, he did say it's time to raise spirits with some team building, a golf day or a meal out, little day trip, break things up. I think there's something in that.
Sure, yeah.
There's something in that, but not to the races, though. Please, because if there are photos of the England team at Ascot yesterday, then we are doomed, quite frankly, even more than we already thought. Right, Belgium 2, Romania 0. The Belgians are up and running. Not Romelu Lukaku. He's still waiting for his first goal.
What did he do?
I don't know. I do not know.
Did he kill a psychic animal? is this
I mean,
maybe
hex
he
upon
crossed
him?
one.
Yeah,
I mean, of all the... When you see that semi-automated offside thing, when it does the line, and it, it's like something out of a sci-fi film where it sort of like dissects a body part. Like
Event Horizon, is that from that? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Even one of the part of the defender's arm was the other side of the line. It was like, but you're just that bit more the other side of the line of the defender. Yeah. And look, if people can moan about this, if you're going to bring in technology, you have to draw a line. So even if it's daylight, you still be a toenail onside and offside. That's the line, right?
But he was brilliant otherwise, wasn't he, Lukaku?
And he took that goal so well.
Yeah,
it was such a great finish.
Because he forged a chance for himself not long after it was disallowed as well. Like it was like his own frustration was fueled by his own talent. Yeah. And it was like watching like Brazilian Ronaldo. Yeah. It was he is on his day, obviously, we know how brilliant he can be, but there's a sense that sometimes he's there's something lacking right at the top level for whatever reason. But that was not the case yesterday. He was it was a perfect example of what a brilliant player he can be. And actually, I thought Belgium's attacking fluency across the board, even when they changed both wide men, was fantastic. They looked really, really capable of just crafting a goal. And De Bruyne was fantastic. Trossard had a couple of moments where he should have made better decisions. Jeremy Doku was electric.
Oh, Doku. I mean, they've got options, haven't they? They look so dynamic going forward. Yeah. And it was always a matter of time before it was going to click. And I know that group is finally balanced. But in the first game against Slovakia, it was extraordinary that they didn't even get a point. They didn't score a goal. Yeah,
I didn't think they played that badly. But obviously they lost the game, so that's that. But yeah, even Luka Bacchiao on the right was brilliant. The idea that you've got two players who just stick out wide, and then that allows De Bruyne and Tielemans to have a bit more space in the middle, and Lukaku obviously had a brilliant game. That was a lovely proper layoff of I'm just going to hold two defenders off here. You can stick this in, Yuri. They looked really good, and it's really annoying because that was my whole plan yesterday: get all the big teams out. then two of them won.
You know what's annoying as well is that it looked really fun. But it looked really fun to be Belgian yesterday, didn't it?
Yeah.
And they've got chips as well.
Chaps.
Yeah,
they have. I mean, you mentioned De Bruyne just looked like Kevin De Bruyne again.
But like really, really on a mission. He and Lukaku looked determined to make that. Make that victory happen and make it happen well. But I mean, I suppose it's a similar thing to to England, but more extreme in a way, isn't it? In that, obviously, losing that first game, the mood in the camp must have been so low, and I guess that
well, I
they
think
use that as fuel.
Yeah, sure, you're right. So, I mean, as Vish said, I think the mood in the camp would have been one of frustration rather than feeling low, because they'd have gone, how on earth have we not won that? And they'll have we had the ball in the back of the net. It was tight calls and all that. But to me, with Belgium, it would have been a case of, right, go again. You don't have to change much at all, if anything. Yeah. It will click, it will happen. England, totally different situation. England, it's like, well, you got to rip that up and start again, and how much time do we have to do that? With Belgium, though, they've got the players, they've got the quality, they've showed it there. The only thing for Belgium is they do look a little bit open at the back.
And actually, they did gift a couple of opportunities to Romania that they snatched at.
Yeah. Oh,
Amadou
yeah.
Onana, on 2 occasions, essentially played a pretty great through ball to a Romanian player. So they've got to be kind of careful in that. Although I'm sort of impressed by Jan Vertonghen on the sort of the Pepe pathway.
Yes.
But he just looked fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, at the back, they do look a little bit vulnerable. I think we'll probably say this about a few sides as the tournament goes on. You wouldn't imagine they would be that gung-ho once you get into the knockout rounds, depending on who they get, if indeed they do qualify, which you'd fancy them to do, although they have the toughest game on paper against Ukraine.
Well, that's the issue with that first result, because logistically it fucks them a little bit, because they have to go at this third game hammer and tongs, and also De Bruyne was brilliant yesterday. He's not the De Bruyne he once was, though. I think we know that from watching in the Premier League. He could have done with this game off. Yeah. They could have done with sorting it now, being in Portugal's situation basically, and being.
He didn't look like he was tiring though.
No, but he's just so, specifically more so for Belgium than Man City. He's so into it. Like, he's so much more physical for Belgium.
Well, because he's had a season with Man City where he was injured a lot, so therefore he wasn't playing as much.
Yeah, but even when he plays for Man City, he's not as he doesn't need to be as physical as he is when he's playing for Belgium. And even the way he takes his goal. Like, when was the last time you saw Kevin De Bruyne clattering into a goalkeeper?
I mean, if he hadn't made contact, which obviously I understand why he ends up doing that. I mean, that was a straight red. Really was. I think they were trying. I think the Romanians were kind of saying, well, hang on a minute. He did very much follow through.
Keeper stayed down for a reason, yeah.
I mean, if it was a tackle...
Yeah.
He might have been in trouble there.
Maybe. But my point is that they would have loved to have been able to give him a day off for that.
Yeah, maybe. Goalkeeper Cohen Casteels was tested a few times, made some good saves, most notably from Dennis Mann.
Enjoyable.
So, some names are just...
no nonsense.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Take note, Georgia.
So Mr. and Mrs. Mann, a son, Dennis.
He's a Mr. Man, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
That's nice.
That is very nice. Well done.
So collectively, as a family, would they be the men?
Who knows? But yeah, so all 4 teams in the group are on 3 points. So nicely poised. And Romania and Slovakia, they'll both fancy it. I wonder what would happen if they all end up with 4 points. Well, obviously one would, goal difference and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it goes on head to head, doesn't it?
So you would imagine that 3 of them would progress on 4, and the one anyway. We'll see. But really finely poised, that group indeed. Later today, everybody, it's Switzerland versus Germany and Scotland versus. We don't even have a 5 o'clock game today.
No, we don't.
This is kind of like just take a little bit of a breather.
Yeah. It's a bit cold turkey though, isn't it?
Go to the gym.
Yeah.
Go to the gym.
Well, it's not completely cold turkey because we do have games, but it's like that day in the World Cup when the game's thick and fast. This is brilliant, and then there's a day off, and everyone's like, well, "I don't want this."
Yeah, but cold turkey, like not doing cold turkey well, it'd be like, right,
it's lukewarm turkey.
I'm not gonna have a drink till the weekend, but then you have a big night on Thursday. Which is like, right, I'm not going to watch a game at 2 or 5 o'clock, but I'll watch 2 at the same time at 8 o'clock.
You're speaking from experience there.
A little bit. A little bit.
John McGinn has said that Scotland have the mentality and capability to prove people wrong. He's been doing that thing that the Scots love doing, is playing themselves as underdogs. And he said, across Europe, people aren't giving us a chance. And I'm thinking, I wonder, firstly, how much people are talking about Scotland across Europe. God. Well, no, because they're worried about their own team.
I'm worried about your mentions, mate.
Yeah. First you slammed independence, and now this.
Slammed independence. I left it to them, and they decided.
I know what you mean. No one, but it's like the.
He's saying that all the.
Jude Bellingham after the Champions League final. They said I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
No one did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You're 20, you play for Real Madrid.
Yeah, I think Scotland, certainly in Germany, have got a lot of good feeling, actually, and a lot of the Germans have enjoyed the Tartan Army, which is no surprise. And so I think a lot of people are probably thinking, oh, maybe they can. They showed what they could do against
If
Switzerland.
anything, it's the other way. It'd be nice if they stayed around longer.
So he
doesn't want that. He does not want that.
Are you saying, Marcus, that if they do get through, it's not that big of an achievement and they should just shut up?
Yeah. No, of course it's huge. I mean, it is a real odd quirk of international football knowledge, if you like, that Scotland have never been past the first round of a tournament in their history. You think of some of the players they produced and some of the teams. I mean, this century, Northern Ireland, Wales and the Republic of Ireland have all been to knockouts in this century alone. You don't even have to talk about 1990 or was it 86 for Northern Ireland and 58 for Wales and all that kind of stuff. So they really are lagging. It's a very odd thing for Scotland, and it is a bit of a stain on their record. So they've got a real chance to put this right. I mean, they haven't been in many major tournaments in recent years, as we know. I mean, I say this century, of course, they've only been to one. The previous time was 98. Now, in both of those tournaments, the last two tournaments they've played, it's played out like this: beaten in the first game, drew the second game, got a chance, and then haven't done it. So whatever precedent that sets, I don't think that matters. I think that Steve Clarke and his team, he spoke about the experience of losing to Croatia last time. I think they might do it. I think that there is that feeling. Against Switzerland, it was a huge result. It was a huge performance, and the fact is they grew into the game. They weren't hanging on. It wasn't a case of, they were a bit plucky and, we managed to... They would have felt like, actually, maybe with another 10 more minutes, they might have, if it was extra time, they might well have gone on and won that. You'd have probably fancied them to. So I think this bodes pretty well for Scotland.
Hungary haven't been great either of them.
They've not been great.
Not really kind of turned up as we maybe would have expected them to. Their confidence will probably be pretty low. It feels like it might be a tight game, which will suit Scotland. Uh-huh. It's there for the taking, really, isn't it?
When you say, I mean, we've come to expect that from Hungary, that they will play it tight and so on, but Hungary need to win. And that, I know Scotland do as well, although actually you mentioned this a few rambles ago and I said, oh, come on, you surely can't go through with 2 points. It is within the realms of possibility. Mm-hmm. You don't want to have to results go your way. But it isn't actually, as you rightly pointed out, so forgive me, Jim, it isn't as ridiculous as one may think. The fact is, Hungary need to win. The onus is much more on Hungary, actually. The bottom of the group, they've not got a point. So that, I think, in theory, plays into Scotland's hands, because we know that when Hungary want to be stodgy and clog it up and play very, very tight, that kind of works for them. Whereas, but history is there for the taking for Scotland.
Which one are you putting on the telly? Which one are you putting on the laptop?
I'll be watching Scotland.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Because, I mean, Germany v Switzerland, it's like, who's going to finish top of the group, really? And it'll be Germany. So, sod them. But Vish, what do you reckon about it, Scotland going into this one?
I was of the same mind as you in terms of the way they were talking about it. I understand concocting the underdog feeling is what they want to do, but they are favourites going into this in terms of being a bit more assured and also showing a bit more than we've seen from Hungary this tournament. I'm really leaning towards just starting Shankland, but I don't think he'll do that. I think he likes Che Adams off the ball, which we haven't really seen because Scotland haven't had much of the ball so far in this tournament. But I also want to see McGinn a bit more in the middle.
But you don't think, though, the goals for Scotland come more from the midfield? Therefore, you probably want a more mobile man up front in Che Adams. Yeah,
well, definitely, yeah. But I also think that if they're not going to win this one. I don't think they're going to win this 1-0. I think they're gonna need more than one goal to win it to be properly comfortable. And then obviously I'm not thinking about like goal difference and second place and whatever. But I feel like Hungary will turn it up today, and they need to.
They have to. They have to,
and then some. Yeah.
I mean, Kieran Tierney's a huge loss.
Yeah,
that is a shame. And as I say, with Portugal being sent off in the first game, Tierney now injured, he's going to have to be a bit of a different back line for Scotland.
Yeah, there was some idle talk of like going to a back four. I don't know how likely that is, because you'd basically be aborting your tried and tested system in the most important game of of your cycle, really. But I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah, I think that Clarke and one or two of the players said after that Switzerland game, it was important that we showed everybody this Scotland team and what they can do and what they've done in qualifying. And also, as you know, I like to point out the Nations League as much as possible. You know, they have been promoted to the top category of the Nations League. So they've shown results-wise and performance-wise what they can do. The Germany game was just a mad one. Write that off straight away. Back at the races against Switzerland. And here they are, as I say, with a chance, with a shot at glory.
I would be so thrilled for them if they do it. What a roller coaster from that first game.
Yeah.
And they could be rewarded with a knockout game against Portugal.
Well, they'll have Porteous back, won't they?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
That's it. Well, everybody, we look forward to both games this evening. Drama is promised.
Cheers for watching another fantastic clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel, which means you will not miss a single upload.